What's going down, D-Gens? Back for week 8. Well, we did it, pretty good. Not as good as we had been, but 2-1 is nothing to sneeze at. 66%. I'll take it all day, every day, 3 times on Sunday, or actually 2 times and then 1 loss because I'm an idiot. But let's get into it. Let's talk about how we did last week. What else is going on in the NFL? I want to start including a little bit of a situational analysis on this. If any of you are familiar with that, if any of you are also business majors with a PhD, I have no fucking idea. I'm just making bullshit up. But we are going to go over situational analysis within the NFL and kind of just a little bit of an overview of what's going on, how the NFL is changing, and kind of the way that the books are changing as well every single week, what they're adapting to, what we need to be counter adapting to, and what you need to be aware of moving forward. Also, of course, you're going to get your picks, you damn degenerates. You'll get all the picks that we usually get. I will tell you there is going to be a little bit of a change this week, I guess, with some of the picks, just because of gonna kind of lead into the situational analysis. So let's get started. So last week we go 2-1 with the straight up picks. One of the picks there was Steelers and Rams under 44. That does cash. Was a little bit of a sweat just because, there was a possibility of them getting some late scores and getting the, going over. But we get the cash with that one. So really not too big of an issue. The loss was the Bucks minus 2.5 against the Falcons. Now that game, if you're looking at the scoreboard and if you didn't watch it and if you don't have like the YouTube, NFL on Sunday ticket, you probably didn't watch this game unless you are a Buccaneers fan. But the minus 2.5, or the closeness of that game, they lost by 3, is just not even indicative, not even close of how that game was going. We're going to get into that in just a second, because the last play here was the Falcons and Bucks under 41. That one does cash. Again, the final score on this one is 16-13, total of 29. Seems like it was pretty sweat-free. Seems like it was a pretty tight game, probably a lot of defense, that kind of stuff. And, I'll be honest with you, this felt like I just got really lucky with the under. And that is another thing to note, guys. When you lose, it's not just, I just had a bad week, I got unlucky. Shit does happen. But when you win, you got to be honest with yourself. And if it was just luck, you just had some shit go your way, well, we're going to take it. We're going to take the money. It's still going to be green. But just be aware that, you have to account for that. You can't just I'm just that good. Now, sometimes you just get lucky, and that's the way that this one went. If you didn't watch that Bucks-Falcons game, the reason that I'm saying this and the reason that I'm kind of harping on this game in particular, the Bucks side of this was the complete wrong side. I don't care what that scoreboard says at the end. It was a very, very one-sided game. And they should have lost by way more. And this game, the over should have definitely been in jeopardy. There should have been much more scoring in this game. Just to give you a quick rundown on what happened here. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, again, you definitely should. It's really good for your health. If you follow me, it's been scientifically proven that you've grown 3 inches in girth and in length. So that's always good. You stand up a little bit straighter, you get a little bit stronger, your max lift is going to get a little bit heavier. You need to just go ahead and follow me. 9 out of 10 dentists do recommend it. It's at AG_sports21. I'm going to give you the picks a little bit sooner on Twitter just because it's easier for me to hop on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it instead of making the whole video. But one thing I do talk about during the games is just kind of what's going on, how I'm seeing it as I'm watching it live. The Falcons really had 4 turnovers in, if not the red zone, like within the 30-yard line or so of the Buccaneers. One of the times, Desmond Ridder, they get the ball down there at about the 12-yard line. I believe it's like third and something or third and goal, I don't remember. But either way, they get called for holding. It goes back to like the 22. I'm thinking, okay, well, they may not get the first down here, but they should. This is like in the second quarter. They should at least get a field goal here, add some extra points. This is going to be a closer over than I was expecting. And, of course, Desmond Ridder goes back for the pass. He gets hit, fumbles the ball. Bucks get the ball going the other way. There's only like 20 seconds left. They just kneel it out. No points are scored. Cool, that happens. I get it. Again, could have just got lucked out there. Maybe didn't make a big difference, right? If it was just 3 points, probably the under is still hitting. But come the third quarter, and the fourth quarter for that matter, the Falcons get the ball. They're going into the end zone. I can't not remember if this is Ridder or who the hell this was, but they're jumping over a defender. They're trying to reach for the pylon. The ball starts to come out of their hand. They basically fumble it, and it looks like it goes out the end zone, or at least out the side where the pylon is at. And they're trying to determine if this is going to be a touchback, which would give the Bucks the ball going the other way, or if it's going to be on the 1 yard line as a review and all sort of crap. I'm there thinking, like, please, please, please let it be, a touchback. There's obviously it's going to be good for me. There's no point scored in this one, especially because it was the Falcons again about to score a touchdown, and they were going to really start running away with this game. Well, they don't say that. They say, no, it was out of bounds. We're going to give you guys the ball on the 1. Very next play, Desmond Ridder just completely botches the snap, fumbles it on the 1. Buccaneers get the ball going the other way. So another touchdown averted, or points again averted. In the fourth quarter, the Falcons have the ball, and every single time they're marching it right down the field on the Buccaneers. I really thought that Buccaneers run defense was going to step up, be a little bit better. And Bijan Robinson was not even in the damn game, and they could not get a stop to save their lives. The Falcons are just going all over the field on them. They finally get it back into the red zone. Ridder takes the ball. He's running into the end zone. This is about to really just seal the game and be done with. He gets to the 1. It seems like he's wide open. He starts to kind of take his foot off the gas. And, of course, I think it's Winfield. He punches the ball off the back of Ridder's hand. The ball goes through the end zone, out the back, and it's a touchback. Buccaneers ball going the other way. A third, either touchdown or at least scoring opportunity averted for us and our under. It was great. It was really, really great. That's at least, by my count, 17 points they got averted there. And the 29 that they ended up actually being at, plus the 17, would have put us at 46. So they would have gone over the total had they scored in all those games. Now, it's not that simple of a handicap, though, because if the Falcons score on basically any one of those, the game's completely different. They may not be really trying to push the issue. They may not have been as determined to go score. They may have been much more okay with just run. Let's run the clock out. Who knows? But that's what I saw. That's how it definitely ended up being lucky. And there was not as many flags. One thing I did note in last week's video, at least on the teaser video, is that we need to be aware that the NFL and the books understand that these unders have been hitting at a super high rate, and that's a problem because now they're going to start moving the lines. The books are going to start moving the lines. They're going to drop the lines down. So something that may have been, 44 or 43, at week 1, week 2, week 3, that same game is now going to be 38, 39, 37 because these unders are hitting at such a high rate. Now, on top of that, that's just the books. The referees at some point, and it seems like it was maybe even this week, are going to stop throwing so many flags. This is not because someone's paying them to do it. It's not because it's a rigged game. It's not because of any of that shit. It's because the NFL is in the business of being entertaining. That's how they get eyeballs. That's how they get asses in the seats. It's to be entertaining. Nobody is there to watch the referee throw the flag 50 times. Somebody's going to get in these refs' ear and say, you need to let them play. You need to loosen up a little bit. We need more points. We need this to be a more entertaining game. And when that happens, the flags come off. Just like during the COVID year, scoring goes up. So at some point, I do think we're going to have more overs hitting. Now, whether that, again, is the books or the referees changing or a combination of both. But I can tell you that this last week, whereas we had really the entire first 7 weeks of just nothing but unders, right? And just hitting these like really, really high rates of unders. This past week, it was 7-6, 7 under, 6 overs, much, much closer than it had been previously. And let me actually get you the totals. 7-6 for the under in week 7. In total, we are 63-43 to the under right now. So again, about 60% of the games going under. Obviously, that should be closer to about 50-50. Realistically, it's probably like 52-53% under, just because of injuries and things like that. But that's what we're sitting at right now. I do expect those numbers to level off at a certain point. So be aware of that, especially if you are still betting unders this week. And I'm telling you right now, I will at least be having a under. And actually, I'm going to give it to you right now. The under that I like for this week is the Rams at Cowboys under 46. It's actually one of the higher scoring games on the board right now. A couple of reasons why I like this. So number one, Rams are just in general a lower scoring team. You would think that they're a higher scoring team, especially considering who they have, right? Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Matt Stafford has been healthy. He's been playing pretty well. The problem is they just really haven't been putting up a whole lot of points. And to date, they are 5-2 to the under. Obviously, most teams are going to be trending kind of towards the under because of the stat I just gave you. But the only two overs that the Rams have put together this year are versus the Colts and versus the 49ers. The 49ers, obviously a high-scoring team, very well-coached team, just a good team overall, top 5 team in the NFL, and that's a divisional matchup. So those games, a lot of times, either very high-scoring or very low-scoring. That one's obviously very high. The Rams' other over was versus the Colts when they had Anthony Richardson playing, and Anthony Richardson was 3-0 to the over. So the Colts are actually 5-2 to the over, just in general, and that game went to overtime. So a lot of the two overs there are definitely very explainable, and against teams who are, pretty damn good scoring offenses, and in the Colts case, not a really good defense. Now, as far as the Cowboys are concerned, obviously they have a top 5 defense, and their offense, as we've noted before, is just not really good at scoring in the red zone. It's exactly why we bet against them when they played the 49ers, and it's exactly why I want to take the under in this case. Not to say that the Cowboys won't win this game, but I wouldn't hate you for taking the Rams. And I actually, on my own personal bankroll, I am teasing the Rams through the 10. So I'm going to take them from 6.5 to 12.5. That's not a play for you guys. I'm just letting you know if you want to do that, I'm not completely against it. But the better play here is the under 46. And if you really wanted to buy it up to 47 because it is a key number, again, I also don't hate that. But the 46 under, when we have a team that's a really good defense who is kind of struggling to converting in the red zone still, even last week against the Chargers, who is also not really a great defense, they only put up 20 points, or not last week, the week before. And then the 49ers obviously had their ass handed to them. So just a not so great potent offense in the Cowboys playing a Rams team that has really not lived up to their billing, even with their high-powered, offensive weapons. Give me that under. Also, though, another play we have for this week. Actually, let me get back to it here for 1 second. It's going to be the Ravens, and I'm going to tell you why here in just a second. Damn it, if I can touch a button. There we go. Ravens -7 versus the Cardinals. I will tell you this one, you do have to buy it down. You have to buy it down to a point. If you wanted to take it at just the 8, I don't hate it. I'm saying 7 because the Cardinals, especially the way the Ravens have played this year, they had a wonderful week last week against the Lions. Really just whipped that ass every which way possible. This week against the Cardinals, not as big of a game. I do see a little bit of a letdown. Not in the fact that they won't win. Obviously, I'm thinking that they're going to win, but that they're not going to give it 100% for the full 4 quarters. I could definitely see this game, being the Ravens' first half, even their first 3 quarters, and then just kind of taking the foot off the gas, taking some players out, just having, a complete, we're going to win this game, get the hell out of here kind of quarter in the fourth quarter, and letting the Cardinals score some unnecessary touchdown and get a backdoor cover if it's at the 8, and the Cardinals maybe going for 2 if they're down by, 18 or, 17, 16, just to try to make it down to a 1-possession game. So I'm buying it down to the 7. You don't have to do that, but I would tell you I think that's probably the better way to play it here, just to avoid the push. I really do believe this could be one of those. It's just an easy backdoor at the 8, the 7. At least you get the push if they can get it down to a one possession game. But the Ravens just, to me, they are the best team in the NFL right now, and I do have some numbers to back that up, and I'll share those with you here in just a second. The Cardinals, they have just gone downhill ever since that first month wrapped up. Ever since they beat the Cowboys, it seemed like that team, and not necessarily the players, but the coaches, the general managers, all that kind of stuff, they are definitely tanking this season. They have not told the players and the coaches, and they're not going to do that. But the fact that they have just made not such great decisions. They really haven't made any effort to upgrade, at positions that probably could be upgraded, make any real push to put Kyler Murray back in there. I understand he's coming back off of IR and all that kind of stuff. But while they're saying he's going to come back, while they're saying he's going to come off of IR, I don't truly believe it. I think they're maybe putting some incentive out there for him. Maybe they want to get a look at him before the end of the year. And I think it's mainly because they want to know if they need to go for that, Caleb Williams at the first pick, or what they're going to do with their pick. But either way, Cardinals, Josh Jacobs has just come back to earth. We understand he's Josh Jacobs. He's playing like it now. And just every week has not been great for them. They put up 10 points last week against a Seahawks defense that's really not, super impressive. This week against the Ravens, I think they're going to struggle even more. The Ravens have just an all-around great defense, top 5 defense as well. Really, that is a scary defense if you're going up against them. Now, I will say that while the Ravens have a great defense, it seems like every week they give up at least 1 to 2 really big runs. And I go back to my storyboard that you guys know I keep every week for the select teams that I watch every single week very closely. And every single week they give up 1 to 2 big plays against the running back. So I'm not against playing a Cardinals running back in like a fantasy lineup this week. But just know that Cardinals team is probably not going to put up a lot of points. Give me the Ravens minus the 7. And then real quick, just to show you what I'm talking about with numbers to show that this team is the top in the NFL right now, I did put together a strength of schedule, basically like a cumulative score here. So 2 indicators that we like to look at when it comes to picking your team, and basically just a way to monitor teams and see if they are real or not objectively, not just going by what happened this week or last week or the week before, is really going to be to, number one, monitor the margin of victory. Margin of victory is the biggest indicator that we have of how good a team is. Good teams, great teams, are going to blow teams out. They're going to beat the hell out of bad teams. And that's just the way it is in the NFL. The really, really good elite teams are going to beat the shit out of the bad teams. The only maybe exception to that, if you want to say it, is if you are so good that you are just consistently elite. A team like the Chiefs, a team like the Patriots with the Brady, that you don't need to show out everything, that you're purposely being restrictive with your playbook until we get to the playoffs. Maybe then you have a little bit of a setback. But for the most part, the good teams are going to beat the hell out of the bad teams. And in this case, the margin of victory is number 1. Now, number 2 is your strength of schedule. Who are you beating? Yes, maybe you have a good margin of victory, but all the teams that you beat together are, have a total record of 1-25. Well, great. You beat a bunch of damn nobodies. You beat some high school kids. Okay, who cares? Well, the best thing we can do is put these 2 things together for our number 1 and number 2 indicators and determine who we believe to be the best teams out there right now. And when I put these in a list, we have the Ravens number 1, 49ers number 2, Bills number 3, Chiefs number 4, Eagles number 5. Those are your top 5 teams according to this stat. And I got to say, I don't disagree with any of that. I know maybe the 49ers looked bad the last game or 2, and they did lose us our teaser. But even the Bills maybe haven't looked great. But the fact is that these teams are still the top 5 just statistically. And as far as the opponents that they've beat, when you look at the Ravens are the only one on this list that have beaten basically opponents with an above 500 win record. The opponents that they've beaten have a combined record of 24-20. So they played some really good opponents. The Bills actually have played, the teams that they beat are combined 13-15. It's not bad at all. It's almost 500 as well. 49ers are 14-19. Chiefs at 22-25. So you get the point here. They've beat, some teams that were at least around 500 mark. If you look at a team like the Falcons, who are 4-2 and in the lead for that division, it's just another indicator that they are not a for real contender. Their cumulative score is a 15.33. Basically, that's just putting these two stats together. But the opponents that they've beat have a combined record of 8-16. That's about a 33% win record, meaning that they've played some really weak opponents, and their margin of victory at that is negative 18. So every week that they've played, you take obviously the points that they've won by minus the points that they lost by. They have a negative margin of victory. Obviously, that's not good. So Falcons, if and when they play real contenders, we should expect them to lose, and I don't think that's really a big surprise to anybody. But just take a look at this, because it is something that's going to be important as we continue moving forward. Right now, and you saw it last week, the house beat the hell out of the public last week, because the public is still going off of their emotion, off of thinking that certain teams are still really good, and this team is just so good and they can't lose, and they're playing this team that's 2-5, and how would they possibly lose to this bad team? Number one, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Number two, certain teams are just better at certain aspects than other teams. And then number three, you really do have a big difference in strength of schedule in some of these teams. Some teams like the Ravens have played really, really good teams with great winning records. So far, they've played the Browns. They've played the Steelers. They lost to the Steelers, but they've played them. They've played I want to say like 3 or 4 out of the top 8 teams in the NFL right now. They've had a pretty tough schedule, and they've done pretty good at it, beating most of these teams pretty handily, not even talking about the Lions that they just beat last week, who was 5-2. So take that into account when you are doing your handicapping, but it's even easier to just let me give you the plays, and you can blame me when they're wrong, if they're wrong. Last thing I want to talk about, guys, is the teasers. So I will tell you right now, we've been pretty shitty with the teasers so far this year. It's 1-5. It's not a great record. Unfortunately, like I was talking about, the books are changing. They are adapting. They're going to continue moving to what the public is perceiving and what they're playing on and what ESPN is talking about, and just kind of the emotion of everybody going into the sports books. So aside from that, they're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're looking at the teams that they believe are the real contenders, not just the 5-2 or the 4s and 3s. They're really good because they have a winning record. They're looking at strength of schedule. They're looking at players, at health, at all that kind of stuff, at track records, at divisional opponents. So in saying that, the lines are very, very sharp, really from here until about week 15. Maybe week 14, depending on bye weeks and stuff like that. But the middle of the season is the hardest part to handicap as an NFL handicapper. That is because the books have all the information they need at this point. All of their algorithms are set. They have a big enough sample size to get good numbers. The sharp guys out there with huge bankrolls, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, not like me and you, they know exactly what they're talking about. They have enough data. They have their own algorithms. They're going to move the lines, and now they're not hesitant. These guys are not waiting anymore. They're not waiting till Wednesdays and Thursdays to bet. These guys are betting Sunday night, Monday morning, Tuesday morning. They're going to hammer these lines. They're going to take the value out. They're going to take the juice out, and they're trying to beat you. They want to beat you to this line as soon as they can, and they're going to give you the shittiest of lines, and the bookies are going to let you take those shitty lines and hope that you just take the public side every single time and that you're not paying attention to the finer points of the numbers. Don't do it. The lines are going to be so sharp, guys. The best way to beat that, the best way to beat a sharp line is teasing it, because the lines are going to be so sharp that just the 6 points in your favor should push you through not only key numbers, but they're going to be more valuable numbers. Because in these lower scoring games, in these sharper lines, the little bit of points that we get in our favor does help immensely. So Eagles minus -0.5 point, Lions -3 is my first tease. I got it actually earlier in the week where I got Lions -1.5. Unfortunately, at this point, it's Lions -9, so you'll have to take it at the Lions -3, which I think is still a good wager because it is obviously at the 3. But the Eagles down through the 6, through the 3, down to a half point against Washington, a divisional opponent they typically don't lose to. Washington has not looked really good, and I do believe the Eagles are going to get a lot of pressure on that Washington team, and the Eagles should be able to move the ball on that team. Just the way the Giants did last week, at least in the first half. The Giants moved the ball pretty easily, and then to close it out in the fourth quarter, Saquon did do a pretty good job on these guys. Lions -3. Just going to go back to our tried and true. Let's fade the Raiders. Let's tease against them. I believe they are still 6-0 when teased against. So great. Let's just roll with it. We're going to take the better team in the Lions, who's probably pissed off after last week's loss, who's going to be focused coming into this game on a Monday night in Detroit against a team who doesn't really want to put up a lot of points, a coach who half the time doesn't even look like he knows what the hell he's doing, and a quarterback who may be back, may not be, but they're just not really doing anything great right now, and they're just they seem like they forget about Devontae Adams halfway through the damn game. Give me the Lions -3. That's teaser number 1. Teaser number 2, Titans +8.5 against the Falcons. Again, I just showed you the Falcons are probably the fakest, division leader out there. Give me the Titans plus the 8.5. Obviously, we're going to go through the 3. We're going to go through the 7. This is going to be a lower scoring game. The over-under is set at 37. So those 6 points are very valuable. The 6 points are essentially almost 16.5% of the total value of both of these teams to put together. So let's take the 6 points in our favor. Plus, we're going to take the points. Plus, the Titans are coming off of a bye week. The Falcons are coming off of a week where they traveled. Like I just said, they probably should have put up a better game, but they didn't, and they got out of there with a win. They may be a little bit, resting on their laurels a little bit while the Titans are coming in here. They're trying to get a win. They have Malik Willis most likely starting at quarterback, so I don't think it's going to be great. I do believe that it is still going to be a very low-scoring game, but give me the Titans plus 8.5 in a game that we expect to be something like a 14-10 kind of game, regardless of who wins. And then lastly, the Bears-Chargers over 40.5. Currently at 46.5, that's the over-under. The Bears are 6-1 to the over. The Chargers are something like 3-3, something like that, over-under. But they do tend to go over when they're playing teams that allow them to score. Neither of these defenses are good. The Bears are bottom 2 in the NFL. Chargers bottom 10. Bagnet or whatever the hell his name is for the Bears looked pretty decent. DJ Moore still pretty decent. Chargers definitely trying to get off the mat. I want to get a win after that loss to the Chiefs. I think we have both teams here that are going to be putting up some points. The Chargers struggle with stopping the run, just as they have the last couple years, and the Bears want to run the ball. They're going to let Devonta Foreman and Roshan Johnson run over this team, assuming that Johnson is playing, and they're going to play to that weakness of the Chargers. Chargers are going to try to pass the ball just as they have been. They're going to try to get Josh Palmer involved, Keenan Allen involved. Hopefully get Eckler going here at the goal line. They should be able to get some easy points against this Bears defense who hasn't stopped anybody. I don't think that it's going to be a particularly close game. I think the Chargers are finally in for a good spot here where they can just beat the hell out of the Bears. But it is open for a backdoor cover with the Bears, so I'm not trying to take the side on either team here. Just give me the over, and I'm going to tease it from the 46.5 down to the 40.5 because you are getting the key numbers of 44, 43, and 41. Like I said, I do believe this is going to be higher scoring. It probably is going to get to at least the 47, but give me the over and through those key numbers just to take the value. And like I said, I think that line is actually going to be relatively sharp by the time we get to kickoff because I see it probably does end at about 48, 47, 49, somewhere in there, the actual total score that is. So those are the teasers. You may not, feel comfortable with them because the teasers have not been great as far as the ones I put on YouTube, but we're following the trends here. We're following the books and taking their sharp lines and kind of using it against them. We're going to use their own info against them. Those are the picks for this week, guys. I will make another video later this week talking about some other data that we're coming across and some other, the DVOA updates and all that kind of stuff. But for now, that's it. Thanks again. Make the bets, get it in early, and I'll see y'all soon.